So, after speaking about the spiritual calling, the next important subject is the purpose of life, to put everything into context. This is fundamental. People from every spectrum of life ask this question again and again. But to have a glimpse of the purpose of life, we have to look at life in a different perspective. Because the impression that we get from others' experiences, at least some experiences, especially for those who don't have a spiritual background, a context, and instinctively, because even by having that knowledge of reincarnation, for example, at the level of the instinct, that's not the way it works. So at that level, it's you have one life and you have to use it as best as possible. And you need to be happy. So happiness is more or less the purpose of life, which the majority can relate to. But it is in the meaning of what is this be happy that things get lost in the myriad of theories. So to have a better understanding of this, we have to look at life with a different perspective. A series, a human life, followed by another life, and another life is a series of lives of episodes, distinct episodes in the quest for something. So this quest for something is a lifetime companion. And it is there signaling and guiding in the way that it is possible. So if you look at life as one distinct episode where you have to give your maximum to be happy, and you're taking the leads of those who have come before, previous to you, and they say, oh, you have to work and have a family and do this and do that and have these circumstances, then you'll try to do that exactly because you're trying to get the happiness. You believe it comes from that because you have heard it again and again. But reincarnation, if you have heard of it, shows that that's not quite the issue because you are always coming back. And there's these theories that, oh yes, I'm coming back because I need to improve, to be a better person. But this is only in the vision that happiness is a reward that when you're a better person, you can access it to. But this is making you waste your time. The purpose of life is liberation, is knowing who you are. These are all synonymous. It is self-realization. It is God realization. These are all synonymous. Ultimate reality, reaching the source, ultimate happiness, bliss. All these are synonymous, and this is the purpose of life. It is like a game being played, that everything in what you call yourself, which is in the body perception, in your intimate space, in your mind, your instincts, everything is conspiring you to believe that it is through the circumstances and the involvement in the circumstances that you will achieve happiness. But that's not really the case. Self-realization means you have transcended the body and the mind identification. And so you have transcended this vision of circumstantial happiness. And you are aiming to the highest. It's like the life of that body-mind complex goes in a horizontal life, from birth to death, with all its experiences. And the quest for truth, the Self-knowledge, the quest for liberation, is a vertical path that happens that can happen during the unfoldment of that horizontal journey. So that horizontal journey, the journey of that body-mind complex, will go where it needs to go. And this is, and as you are busy with that which is inevitable, which is this journey and those choices, you are missing the point and using your time into something that you don't really have much to do in, because it will go wherever it needs to go. And you should be using this time to this vertical, this rising of consciousness. So the purpose of life is self-realization. And people fancy, and it is normal to fancy about the mission of life, which means finding the right path, which means knowing what I need to do, which means knowing which circumstances I need to recreate to be happy. Circumstantial happiness. But happiness, it is your real identity. And you reach it by transcending the wrong identity, by transcending the identification with the non-self, with that which you're not, with transcending bodily identification, with transcending these apparent natural currents of life, instinct, and whatever your mind fancies. So this character that you have become, this personality, it is a fruit of circumstances of that birth and probably a little bit of previous births also. I will talk that in one of the next videos. It's just a set of circumstances. And when you start your serious meditation, your spiritual practice, and if you practice it intensely, all that you recognize as yourself will change drastically, to the point that you will not even recognize yourself, because that's not yourself. That's just a product of circumstances, which at this moment, it is improved in the direction of, according to the beliefs that you have about life, and it can and must change as you are moving that direction of your life. And if you want to progress on the spiritual path, if you want it to be meaningful, if you want to answer that divine calling, you must dissociate yourself from any investment towards circumstantial happiness and into the transcending of body-mind identification, so that you can realize your divine nature and thus find everlasting happiness. Because the happiness that you know, that's its nature. It is the way that you recognize it. It is fleeting, it is momentarily, it may last more, less, but it always fades and gives place to suffering. And that is the message. It doesn't satisfy because that's not what you're looking for. And without the purpose clear in your mind, you will waste a lot and a lot and a lot of time until you understand finally. Because if you have access to spiritual teachings, but you maintain the normal purpose of life, which is circumstantial happiness, your life may improve in circumstances improve in a sense of less friction because you're looking for also for circumstantial peace. But eventually you cannot outrun your own suffering because you need him. You need that suffering to maintain the balance of your life. But this is another conversation. So eventually you will experience it again and again, and you will ask yourself, but I've walked so much, done so much, and still trapped in the same things. To have a clarity in the purpose of life is fundamental. So that you will use your time better and you will understand better the spiritual teachings because it will give you perspective. So remember, the purpose of life, it's not about the circumstances of life, the circumstances of the life of that body, but about transcending bodily identification to realize your divine nature, your real identity. Okay.